Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rose Chitanwat. I'm going to be the moderator for the session of webinar on sustainable agricultural value chain development in the Mekong Delta. This is on the second day of this mission on Mekong Delta specifically. So for those who are listening on Vietnamese, please click to the interpreter on the bottom of your screenshot, okay? And today the program will be the run. I'm going to run through the program. At first, we will have welcome aims and program of the meeting by our top sector, Ms. Wilhelmine, and we'll follow up by the challenges and opportunities in the Mekong Delta from local perspective. And then we're gonna have the block 1 on opportunity in aquaculture development and sustainability of the sector. And then block 2 will be on opportunities in the livestock sector. And last but not the least, the block 3 will be on the opportunities in the fruit and vegetable sector. We are having more than 6 speakers. I think you're gonna find the knowledge from the speakers from us today. Ms. Wilhelmine, and then Mr. Guido, line in from Holland, Mr. Nguyen, Do Antoine, Mr. Matthias, Mr. Lod Verdonk, Mr. Walter Van Witt, and we have another 5 speakers, Mr. John Van Den Brand with Ms. Charlotte Werberg, and of course our host today, Mr. Willem Skutra. And we have our speaker that many of you get used to his face already, because in many mission of the virtual mission today, we have Mr. Sibe and Mr. Joe's leaders. So right now I'm going to pass the floor to our top sector, Ms. Wilhelmine Van Azel. She will do the welcoming speech to all of the audience here. Please, Ms. Wilhelmine.
Thank you, Ms. Rose, and good morning and good afternoon to everybody. I hope you can hear me because my own picture is not moving at this moment. My name is Wilhelmine van Asselt. I work for the top sector Agri and Food in the Netherlands, and as top sector we are a track leader of this total mission of ASEAN, and we're very happy to join you on this digital mission to the Mekong Delta. As top sector, we really hope that this mission to Mekong can be the start of a closer cooperation between the Netherlands and Vietnam in the Mekong Delta, and we are, of course, as top sectors, really happy to be part of that. Today's webinar aims to highlight the challenges in agri-food production value chains in the Mekong Delta. And already yesterday, a lot of information was given in the first webinar, and I'm pretty sure that today you hear a lot more on the topics of agriculture, livestock, and fruit and vegetables. I hope that you as business companies also will learn about business opportunities, of course, in Mekong Delta, because this is why we organize these webinars. Today, at the end of the program, we have room for questions. So I'd like to ask you to put your questions in the chat in order to be answered at the end of the session. Willem Schouwstra, the Agriculture Counselor of Vietnam, will wrap up this session, hopefully at 10:15. But before going into the program, I'm very delighted that we found Mr. Guido Land here of the Ministry of Agriculture available to have a small message to you, and it's pre-recorded, but I'm very happy that he was able to do this. So this will be shown, and after that we will give the floor to the first speaker. So have a very good webinar, and thank you very much for this opportunity, Rose.
Thank you, Ms. Wilhelmine. So it's very clear that this is virtual mission that we are trying to gather all the key person and even top sector like Ms. Wilhelmine has time to join with us and give us the direction and why we have this virtual mission. For those who yet to visit the B2 match, you can visit the B2 match by searching the virtual mission, the Netherlands. You can also enter and join. So next, I will bring you to our speaker, Mr. Guido Landhier. He is the director from European International Agroeconomic Policy at the Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Quality of the Netherlands. Please.
Welcome to the sectoral kickoff agro-food of the virtual mission Southeast Asia, connecting minds for sustainable future. The Netherlands started in September 2020 the campaign Moving Forward Together, in general focused on initiatives to be better prepared for the post-COVID period with emphasis on restart international collaboration. My name is Guido Landheer. I'm the Director for European and International and Agro-Economic Policy of the Dutch Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Quality in the Netherlands. My ministry considered it as important that the Netherlands contribute to sustainable food systems all over the world. The program is inspired on that, so the agenda provides attention for post-harvest activities, resilience, food and feed ingredients to ensure food security for healthier consumers and sustainable ecology complex, smart horticulture with new technologies, and much attention is given to the agriculture transformation of the Mekong Delta. The ASEAN region is developing to an economic strong region with a large market and demand concerning the number of people that lives in that region. The demand for self-sufficiency and safe and quality food is still increasing, and the COVID pandemic has accelerated this demand. On top of that demand in the ASEAN region is wealthy and growing. The challenge for ASEAN region, as for many others, is to ensure a sustainable increase of food production. Each country chooses its own strategy. For example, Singapore's focus is on high-tech agriculture. Malaysia is looking for ways to reconstruct their whole agriculture sectors. Indonesia put its emphasis on the development of large-scale areas for food production, the so-called food estates. And Thailand has become a strong player in livestock, especially poultry, and Vietnam has decided to make a large-scale investment in sustainable food production in the Mekong Delta. The ASEAN countries strive for sustainable living, a good family income and a strong national economy. These efforts to realize a sustainable society in and by the ASEAN countries opens up many market possibilities for those entrepreneurs who can contribute to sustainable agriculture. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, so communication and collaboration with your partners abroad is crucial. The Dutch knowledge, products, services and insights should match with the local situation. Co-creation with your partners abroad is very decisive for successful marketing. This trade mission enables you to do so. To have this agri-food track happen, a lot of work had to be done. I thank all of the organizers for enabling Dutch companies and governmental representatives to meet with our Asian counterparts in this virtual mission. To you as participant, I wish you have many conversations with your fellow entrepreneurs from Asian countries, for that's the fundament for your success. Considering the COVID era, I wish you a healthy mission.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Guido. It's very clear that the virtual mission that the Netherlands government has created to connect between the Netherlands and the ASEAN country. There are the market possibilities, and it is about the communication, cooperation, and adopt the Dutch technologies into the local condition. That's very nice and good to hear from the top person like Mr. Guido and Ms. Wilhelmine. So I'm going to continue the program. So before starting the next session on the challenges and opportunities in the Mekong Delta from local perspective, I want to highlight to all of you, for those who listening to English, you go to the bottom section of your screen, you see the wording interpretation. Please click that and change to English. Then you can hear the simultaneous translation of the next speaker. But those who already listen to Vietnamese, stay on in this channel. No need to click on the interpretation. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring you to hear from our Director General of the International Cooperation Department from Vietnam, Mr. Nguyen Do An Tuan. He's going to give the explanation on the opportunities from local perspective. Please.
Đồng bằng sông Cửu Long là vùng trọng điểm nông nghiệp rất quan trọng của Việt Nam. Tuy nhiên, đây cũng là vùng chịu ảnh hưởng nặng nề của biến đổi khí hậu. Trong đó, khu vực nông nghiệp là khu vực dễ bị tổn thương nhất. Bên cạnh tác động biến đổi khí hậu, các chuỗi giá trị nông sản đồng bằng sông Cửu Long đang phải đối mặt với rất nhiều thách thức và cần phải vượt qua. Ví dụ như là nền tảng kinh tế hộ nhỏ lẻ, liên kết chuỗi giá trị yếu, công nghiệp chế biến và các ngành hỗ trợ, hệ thống logistics kém hiệu quả làm tăng chi phí, giảm sức cạnh tranh các mặt hàng nông sản trên thị trường, liên kết vùng, liên kết khu vực, liên kết quốc tế còn yếu. Nhận thức được vấn đề này, Chính phủ đã ban hành nghị quyết 120 về phát triển bền vững đồng bằng sông Cửu Long thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu. Trong đó nhấn mạnh cơ cấu lại sản xuất nông nghiệp theo hướng thuận thiên, hiệu quả, phát huy lợi thế của từng tiểu vùng, gồm tiểu vùng thượng nguồn, vùng giữa, vùng ven biển, và cũng phải đáp ứng được với nhu cầu thị trường. Tạo ra các mô hình chuyên canh lớn gắn với cơ giới hóa, áp dụng khoa học kỹ thuật tốt, kết hợp cụm nông nghiệp, chế biến, công nghiệp hỗ trợ và hệ thống logistics. Với những kinh nghiệm của mình và lợi thế của khu vực đồng bằng sông Cửu Long, đề nghị các đối tác phía Hà Lan, cả khu vực công và khu vực tư, thúc đẩy xây dựng các dự án hợp tác tại đồng bằng sông Cửu Long, bao gồm như là xây dựng cảng sông, cảng biển và dịch vụ logistics hỗ trợ thương mại nông sản, xây dựng các đề án phát triển chuỗi giá trị nông nghiệp bền vững, thúc đẩy tập trung dụng đất, hướng tới sản xuất quy mô lớn, phát triển các mô hình hợp tác xã, kinh tế phù hợp và áp dụng các mô hình kinh tế tuần hoàn trong canh tác nông nghiệp, phát triển cảnh quan nông nghiệp bền vững.
All right, I think that is some technical issue from the interpreter end. So we will rerun the video again on the B2 match for those who listen into English, because there is some technical on the switching the room. I apologize on the organizer behalf. So for the next things, it will be on the block 1, that will be on the opportunities in the aquaculture development and the sustainability of the aquaculture sector. So I would like to bring you guys on the video on the discussion on the aquaculture sector for next 15 minutes. Enjoy the video.
Welcome to this webinar about Southeast Asia as part of the virtual mission to the ASEAN-5 organized by the Netherlands Enterprise Agency. Today we will zoom in on the Mekong Delta and specifically the aquaculture activities being developed by Dutch companies and knowledge institutes. I have the pleasure today to have two guests. Lode Verdonk, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Wouter van Vliet, good morning. I would like to shortly introduce the project you've been working on, named Shrimp Tech Vietnam. you work for Tip Top Aquaculture. You've been in the business already for almost 20 years and responsible for sales and marketing and business development, specifically in Southeast Asia. Thank you for joining. Wout van Vliet.
Thank you very much.
You're a director of Larive International, responsible for supporting companies with doing business in emerging markets, including Vietnam. Both of you have been involved in the project named Shrimp Tech Vietnam, which is a public-private partnership, including Dutch companies and knowledge institutes, jointly developing their business position in Vietnam with products and services for the shrimp industry. I would like to learn more about this project. Lode, maybe you can explain a bit about the background of this project and how you got involved with your company.
Now, especially, I think 1.5 years, 2 years, one of our stakeholders was in contact with Larive about joining the project. And from then we were actually quite new business, also in the Netherlands. We're producing probiotics and for the market in Asia, we just sold our products in Indonesia. So we wanted to enter new markets, also in Vietnam. Yeah, it's really interesting to enter the market over there and also to start the demo farm.
That's a good start. Wouter, maybe turning to you. You have been the initiator and developer of this initiative. Could you explain a bit about the background and also the circumstances in Vietnam in which you started this project?
Yeah, most certainly. As Larive, we actually help companies with growing their business in Asia, but also Sub-Saharan Africa and Eastern Europe. Now, having been involved in Vietnam for more than 20 years, we have a local partner office, which has both offices actually in Saigon and Ho Chi Minh City and in Hanoi. Now, with the Mekong Delta doing something like 50% of the output, of agricultural output of Vietnam, the need to modernize aquaculture is very adamant. And lots of local companies actually show that they would like to improve the methods being used in aquaculture, specifically in shrimp farming, but that requires investment and it requires partnerships. So rather than going individually, as individual companies working within this value chain, what we did is we combined a group of companies that do feed, probiotics, hatchery equipment, farming equipment, water, everything related to water and water purification. So by joining these companies together with Vietnamese partners, we're much better able to have an impact, a positive impact, and provide total value chain solutions.
Interesting. Maybe turn to you, Lode. Your company has been active in Southeast Asia for a while. In which countries are you active?
For now in Vietnam and Indonesia. And we're now busy with our registration process in Vietnam. So we're almost finished with that. And then hopefully we can enter the market also in Vietnam. But for now we're selling in Indonesia and we're setting up our business in Vietnam to get people to know our products. So.
Okay. How many types of products are we talking about?
We're now talking about 2 different types of products. One of them is actually for the gut of the shrimp or for the fish. Mm-hmm. And one of them is water quality product. So just we have to throw it in the water. And we're now working on 4 or 5 different kind of products, but that is just for the quality of the product. So yeah, we have like a product from 1 billion safe use or currently counted units in our product. So the quality of the product is really good. Mm-hmm. But we're now working for smaller farmers with less bacterial count, so we can provide each and everyone in the market in Vietnam for a product that they like or they need in the farming.
Okay. And these are products being developed in the Netherlands?
Yeah, totally developed in the Netherlands, yeah. Okay. We have some cooperation with some businesses for something in Thailand or something, and we do like research over there, and also in Vietnam with one of our partners in Vietnam, with Dr. Loc Tran. We're doing tests on diseases. So we're working with a lot of companies also outside of the Netherlands, but all the probiotics are produced and made in the Netherlands, yeah.
You explained that you are working together in a partnership in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit more about your experiences? So the pros and the cons of working together?
Yeah, actually, for me, it was a new business. So it was also a little bit, touching and feeling how does everything work and how is it also with the culture change. Yeah, of course, it's a different culture. So you have to feel a little bit, how it's working and how it's going. But the people over there are really motivated and they are really hard workers. So I really like the cooperation we have with the Vietnamese partners over there. And I think the partnership with them is really good.
Wouter, your company is active in multiple countries in Southeast Asia. If you compare Vietnam maybe to other markets in Southeast Asia, what are your experiences? How does Vietnam and specifically the Mekong Delta distinguishes from other regions, other countries, and which lessons learned from the Mekong Delta can be applied in other countries in Southeast Asia? Do you have any experiences?
Most certainly. Looking from a foreign investor's perspective, in this particular case, European companies active in aquaculture, looking at the different markets in Southeast Asia, all of them require their own approach. And very much a local partnership which enables you to understand both the culture, but most of all the requirements of the client. So if we take the example of Vietnam, the key drivers that were giving back to us by our local Vietnamese partners were the issues of antibiotic usage, the need to increase the output and the need to lower the cost, but that combined with all of the environmental pressures that the Mekong Delta faces. Now, when you look at some of the other regions in aquaculture in Asia, for example, Indonesia, Thailand, or even India, each have their own dynamics. So when we look at our client base, they all look at them on an individual region basis with its own approach. Now, looking at Vietnam, what worked really, really well is to have very much a Vietnamese-Dutch partnership, which was very, very clear from the start. What we do is we have a total value chain solution, but we work very, very closely with selected Vietnamese partners to try, test, and validate products, solutions, and services in the Vietnamese setting to actually show that it works. And that's been very, very successful from the onset.
Yeah. So the aquaculture sector and specifically shrimp sector in Vietnam is quite large. What are your expectations for, let's say, the coming 5 years? How will this industry develop and how could Dutch companies become increasingly involved in partnerships, in cooperation with the Vietnamese?
Yeah, already Vietnam is one of the powerhouses in terms of output for aquaculture, both in fish farming and in shrimp farming. Actually, when you look at the total output, more than 2/3 of that is aquaculture. So it's farmed fish rather than wild-caught fish, and the same goes for shrimp. So with that, when you talk to the large and mid-sized companies active within this field in Vietnam, you see that they want to increase the output whilst diminishing the environmental impact. So that has everything to do with the fact that disease pressure will increase as you increase the amount of output. So technology is a key driver with all the partners that we visited. All of them say, okay, what we need to do is increase our output whilst decreasing our dependency on the environmental conditions. So we want to increase quality control over water. We want to eliminate all usage of antibiotics. And we want to have farming methods which are durable. And with that, they kind of look at the Dutch model for high output, low impact. So in terms of what can we offer, it's that partnership in terms of technology, in terms of decreasing your footprint whilst increasing your output, which is a common topic which returns in every meeting that we have.
Yeah, number of lessons learned which can definitely also be applied in other markets in Asia. Lode, turning to you, you explained that you have been working on registering your products in a number of markets. Would you have any advice for other Dutch companies which would have the same ambition, becoming active in Southeast Asia and offering their product range in markets? What is your experiences? Any recommendations?
First of all, in the beginning it was actually really hard, but after that we get some help from the Dutch embassy in Hanoi, and they wrote us a letter of recommendation, and they're also involved and in contact with the Vietnamese government. So especially I think when we were in contact with the Dutch embassy in Hanoi, and they were also involved with our registration process, and we have like a good Vietnamese partner, because I also think If we do the registration process as a Dutch guy, as I am from the Netherlands, and not with a Dutch or Vietnamese partner, it's going to be really hard. So I think to find a good Vietnamese partner, and from there on, build it up and do it together in that way.
Excellent. And do you expect to, let's say, produce your products locally over time? If we look to the next 5 or 10 years, do you expect that you will, and because nowadays you have developed these in the Netherlands and being produced also in the Netherlands, but could you consider let's say, a localization over time?
Maybe over time, but for now, at the moment, I don't think so, because also when we produce our products over here, and we do the packaging over here, we fully are in control over our products. If we send our products in like a very high concentration to Vietnam, and we say, for example, to our distributor, you can do whatever you want, or you can make it like a less count of bacilluses, the quality of the product is not anymore in our hands. So I think it's harder for us to control our products in Vietnam over there, because we're now also doing like a major competitor challenge. So we're sending like a lot of competitor products to the Netherlands, and we testing that in our laboratory and seeing if everything stands on the label, if that's correct, because we heard and also see in our our expectations that a lot of products are telling like, we have this product, but it's not all the products or all the ingredients are in the products over there. So I think maybe in the future, but for now on, we just keep it in the Netherlands and export our products to Vietnam and other countries, but maybe for in the future. But for now, we still want to keep it in our own hands.
Clear. And any other recommendations to Dutch companies, if you look to Southeast Asia specifically, Vietnam and the Mekong Delta? I mean, what would be your advice? Should they become active in Vietnam?
I think it's a really interesting business, and I think they have to be active in Vietnam. But also what we're doing with Larive with the products is, for me, I'm going to Vietnam with my product and I'm showing them, okay, I never did something with farming, but this is my product and you have to use that in your method of farming. And I think what we're now doing also with the demo farm is showing the people and inviting people, look, this is a method we think it's the better way of farming. So people are also trade knowledge with each other. We can, and I think in that method we can, increasing the whole value of the agriculture with each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for joining today and sharing your experience about doing business in a partnership in Vietnam, and specifically then in the southern part and the Mekong Delta. I do hope that these lessons learned can be also an inspiration for other companies and knowledge institutes to become active in Vietnam. For now, I would like to thank you both for joining today, and also the Netherlands Enterprise Agency for making available this webinar. Thank you all, and goodbye.
All right, so it's very nice to hear about one of the partnerships that happened between the Netherlands and the local Vietnamese company on the project Shrimp Tech Vietnam, and of course the tip top one also do the collaboration to export the probiotic into Vietnam. For those who are interested in doing partnership in the virtual mission of the Netherlands, we have the matching program that in Vietnam, for those who are in Vietnam, you can join in the matching program that will be organized on 4th of December. And also we're gonna have the celebration of the Vietnam partnership with the Holland company. All right, so I'm coming to the next one on block 2. It will be the panelist interview discussion by Mr. Willems Kautra. He will do the interview with Mr. Johan van den Barn from the host and Ms. Charlotte Verberg from Wageningen University on the livestock research. So the next topic that Mr. Willem will bring us to talk to those speakers will be opportunities in the livestock sector, the impacts of saltwater intrusion on livestock farming. So may I pass the stage to Mr. Willem.
Thank you, Madam Rose, for your excellent moderating and also for pronouncing my name very, very well. Let me introduce Johan van der Ban and Charlotte Verburg. Johan, working for the Heus, a well-established and well-known company, very successful here in Vietnam. And Charlotte representing Wageningen University and Research. Very much welcome to talk with us and to share some experience about livestock development in the Mekong Delta. Maybe Johan, I start with you. Maybe you can share some of your activities of the Heus in the Mekong Delta, and especially also how you see the agricultural developments in the Delta to your experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, people in the Netherlands and elsewhere in Europe, perhaps. Thanks, Willem. I would like to start with a short introduction of who we are as the Heus. After that, I hope you can see my screen. After that, I will zoom in a little bit into our activities of the Heus in the Mekong Delta specifically, focusing on the livestock sector a little bit, some trends that we are seeing, and also later on, I think we can discuss a few challenges that we see. I think to start with, it's good to mention that our corporate vision as the Heus Animal Nutrition fits quite well with the topic that we are discussing today. As a company, we are aiming at contributing to the sustainable availability and also accessibility of safe and healthy food by taking into account, of course, climate, environment, and animal welfare. And also by closely working together with local communities. So I think this fits quite well with the discussion topic of this webinar in general. One of the things that we are focusing on is really contributing in a sustainable way to food availability. And we do that actually on a daily basis in the whole world, but also in Vietnam since 2009. By working together with farmers, so the producers of eventually meat, fish, milk, and eggs. So really on the farm approach, not only selling products, services, but really helping the farmers to take the next step in their development. We do that today in many different countries in the world, around 20 where we have production facilities, but also through exports. We have a global footprint, you could say. As I said, in Vietnam, we've been active since 2009, initially mainly in the livestock sector, later on also in aquaculture. Today, I will focus my topic on really on livestock only. In this map of the Mekong Delta, you can see visually where the Heus is active with production facilities. So you can see that for us, as the Heus Vietnam, where we have in total 9 feed mills, you can see that quite a lot of them are located in the Mekong Delta. In fact, we have 4 feed mills in the Mekong Delta, 3 in the province of Vinh Long, which is also our headquarters officially. We have also a shrimp feed factory all the way down south in Bac Lieu in the Mekong Delta. And next to that, we have an activity of a swine genetics farm in Sop Trang, which is a grandparent pig farm. And next to that, we have 2 research and development centers situated in Vinh Long as well. One on aqua and also one on poultry. So for us, the Mekong Delta, I think this picture shows that really clearly. It's a very important, strategically very important part of Vietnam and of our activities in general in this country. Here's some pictures of the research facilities. On the top left, you can see the Aqua Research and Development Center that we established several years ago, actually, in close collaboration also with the Dutch government. and also with Fresh Studio Company. I think Sibe is in the call today as well, talking about fruit. So we worked on that together to get this done, and we are still very proud and happy with this really high-tech R&D center on aqua and also on poultry in the Mekong Delta. So that is adding a lot of value for us, including also on finding ways towards more sustainable poultry and also fish and shrimp production in Vietnam. If you look at the Mekong Delta, we estimate that there are around 20 million people living in this part of Vietnam. It's a very wide area where a lot of people are really dependent on in one way or another on agriculture. What we do see is that consumption of animal proteins is also relatively on the high side, as well as production, of course. And next to that, we do also see, and that's a very important characteristic, I think, at least for how we are looking at this market, it's really a market that is on livestock characterized by very small backyard type of farms overall. During the past years, you can see here some trends of livestock population developments of different species. The most eye-catching trend is obviously the pig volumes, let's say the live pig volumes that have dropped considerably from 2018 until today, actually, as a result of African swine fever. In connection to that, we also see at the same time that the poultry population has increased very fast already since 2015, but especially it grew faster since 2018 because many small pig farmers, families who are dependent on the production of pigs, have switched to poultry simply because the disease pressure of African swine fever was too challenging, especially for those smaller scale farms, to survive and actually to earn some money on that. Even though the pig prices are still very high, we do see, and we have seen that actually until now in the whole of Vietnam, a strong consolidation in the pig market in terms of farm scale, which also you could say is a sort of threat for many people who are dependent or used to be dependent on pig farming. Here a little bit more information where you can really see that the vast majority on the right table of pigs being raised in the Mekong Delta, and you will see similar farm types in all the other animal species, including poultry. It's really backyard dominated. So this is to start with a little bit of an introduction of what the Heus is, what we do in the Mekong Delta, and some trends of livestock population developments in general in the Mekong Delta. Thank you. Willem, are you still there to take over?
All right, I think I will handle the session pass to Miss Charlotte Verberg on Wageningen University, the project on the livestock and environment and waterland, which is from Miss Charlotte from Wageningen University Research Center. So Miss Charlotte, can you share about the project from the research center in Vietnam?
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Yes, I would like to share a little bit on our project. As Johan just indicated, there's a lot of livestock production in the Mekong Delta, though they're most backyard farmers. in our project, we focus on the challenges of the Mekong Delta. There's the problem of climate change. Salinity intrusion will increase in the near future, while fresh water is crucial for drinking water and for feed production. So we are looking at possibilities to overcome the issues of salinity. At the same time, we also see drought and heat stress, which also influence animal health and productivity of the animals. And these are issues that we tackle at the moment. And although it's a challenge, we also see it as an opportunity to, at the same time, try to lower the environmental footprint of animal production systems and increase circular agriculture. For instance, to use the waste streams of crop and food production and the byproducts of industry from processed food products. Thank you.
So I think that it's a lot of questions that coming already, maybe to Mr. Johan and also even to you on the waste and byproducts. So anyway, I will go to the next session first, then we come back to you for the question and answer session. Is it okay? So right now I would like to thank you on behalf of the virtual mission organizer, and we will see you again in the next session of question and answer. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, now the block 2 is finished. We are going to go to the next session. It's called block 3. It will be on the opportunities in the fruit and vegetable sector. We will have the speaker, Mr. Sibe Van Vich. You might hear about him in many of the sessions already. He is director of Fresh Studio Vietnam. And Mr. Joe's leader. He is the from Bureau leaders. So Mr. Joes and Mr. Sibe will control this block 3. So may I pass the stage to you, both of you, opportunities in the fruit and vegetable sector, please.
Thank you. If you can start my presentation. Yeah, good morning in the Netherlands and afternoon in Southeast Asia. I'm going to present to you about developing a sustainable fruit sector in the Mekong Delta, where I give an overview about what's happening in the fruit sector in the Mekong Delta. And after my presentation, Jos will continue with a project that he and several of his project partners are starting to improve the fruit sector in the Mekong Delta. Next slide. First, give a quick background about who we are, the rise of Vietnam, the Mekong Delta fruit sector, and then what is needed to make the fruit sector in the Mekong Delta more sustainable. Next slide. Next slide. By myself, I've been living in Vietnam since 2004, started working here in 2001, started Fresh Studio with Irma Manting in 2006. And over the years, we've been working on a lot of agricultural subsectors, but one sector where we never got any client interested was the fruit sector. And as you can see there on the right, I'm holding a pomelo, which is one of my favorite fruits. And when I tasted this Vietnamese pomelo, I really felt this is a fruit which the world needs to discover. And as no client was interested in Vietnamese fruits, we decided to do it ourselves, and we started a second company called the Fruit Republic. Next slide. Fresh Studio is a consulting and R&D company. We help our clients in the sustainable production and marketing of food. We're a professional services firm, and we help clients in every step from the chain. So we have 60 staff, multidisciplinary, from agronomy till business development, marketing. We do about 30 projects per year in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And we have offices in 4 places in Vietnam, 1 R&D farm, and 1 office in Yangon. Next slide. The rise of Vietnam, for those who were in the seminar yesterday, I'll keep it short. Next slide. But still, it's good to realize. Vietnam in the past 20 years have become an agriculture powerhouse, exporting a lot of commodities, where Vietnam is now in the top 3, top 4 of the world in volume of commodities like cashew nuts, fish fillets, rice, coffee, rubber, shrimps. But the products which is missing are fresh fruits. The only fresh fruit which Vietnam is exporting successfully, mostly to China, is dragon fruit. Next slide. Next slide. If you look at the trade balance of fruit and vegetables, actually fresh fruits export from Vietnam, and you look at the imports, you can see an interesting thing. The exports are in pink, the imports are in green, and you see that the exports have been growing, but the imports have been growing much faster, and you see a very negative trade balance. It's interesting that these data, they're based on the data of WTO. And when we look at it, you see that Vietnam, although very successful in products like dragon fruit, at the same time, the Vietnamese consumer is discovering products like apple, pears, grapes, which for them are exotic and which they would like to eat. Next slide. If you look at the Vietnamese fruit sector, in 2019, there's almost 1 million hectares of fruit trees planted in all of Vietnam. This was 20 years ago, this was just around 200,000 hectares, so a spectacular rise. Farmers have been converting from rice to fruits, with an average farm size of half an hectare. This means 1.8 million farm households are depending on fruits. Vietnamese consumers also love fruit, so the domestic market is also very significant, $5 to $6 billion US dollar per year. Out of this 900,000 hectares of fruit, 300,000 hectares is being produced in the Mekong Delta, meaning that around 600 farm households are depending on fruit farming. Next slide. So exports grow, but imports are even growing faster. So although there's always a lot of focus on exports, it's also important to keep the domestic market. So if you walk into a supermarket in Ho Chi Minh City, you will see that the shelf space taken up by apples is enormous, and that means there's less space for a product like pomelo. Next slide. So if you zoom into the Mekong Delta, next slide, we have to realize that the size, what Jan already said, it's about the same size as the Netherlands. And a lot of rice has been converted into fruits. So although there's a lot of emphasis on that farmers should switch from rice to fruits, government programs working on it, but in fact already a lot of conversion from rice to fruits have happened, simply because farmers can increase their income 5 to 10 times if they switch from rice to fruits. Next slide. So fruit production, nearly 40% of the fruits in Vietnam production is coming out of the Mekong Delta. And if you look at important fruits, coconut, we consider it as a fruit, fresh coconuts, citrus, mango, banana, pineapple, watermelon, dragon fruit, durian, these are the most important fruits. Where the biggest driver for the development of the fruit sector in the Mekong Delta has been the domestic market and the Chinese market. Enormous volumes of fruit, almost 85% of fruit exports from Vietnam are going to China. So dragon fruit, banana, durian, and jackfruit are going in huge volumes to the Chinese market. Next slide. But what is needed now to, so on the one hand, the fruit sector, at least has grown, mostly domestic market and in export to China, but it's not been very successful in entering more higher value markets, and it is being under pressure from imports, especially from Thailand of tropical fruits and China. Next slide. So if you look at the Vietnamese fruit orchards, let's look on a picture of a pomelo farm. On the left is a beautiful pomelo farm in the Mekong Delta. On the right is a pomelo orchard in China. So what you immediately notice, you don't have to be a fruit expert, but on the left you see a lot of wood, you don't see fruits. And on the right you see that there are a lot of fruits. And this has to do that Vietnamese farmers, when they switched from rice to fruits, they thought the more fruit trees we plant, the more harvest we will get. But because of the trees being planted too close to each other, the branches could only grow up, and there was not any space for fruits to develop. So this results into yields which in China 50 to 60 ton, and in Vietnam only to 15 to 20 ton. Next slide. So if you want to develop a more successful fruit sector, it starts at the nurseries, because for many farmers, fruit farmers, when they want to convert from rice to fruit, they need to buy a seedling, a small fruit tree. And when they now buy a seedling from a nursery, these are very normally small nurseries, and after 2 years, 20 to 30% of the fruit trees will have died. So in the current nursery situation, there's no clear what rootstocks are used, not clear which mother tree is being used to make the seedlings from, and there's no guarantee of disease-free seedlings. And this is a crucial aspect. Without professional nurseries, you cannot develop a more professional fruit sector. Next slide. There is an enormous need for applied R&D and extension. Again, on the left, there's another example of a citrus farm in the Mekong Delta. Again, you see the trees are planted very close. It's going to be very difficult to work at that farm. How you can harvest, how you can do tree care and fruit care if you can hardly walk through this orchard. Actually, on the left is more like a fruit forest, and on the right you will see an orchard. So the orchard on the right makes it much easier to work. And with rising labor costs, also in Vietnam, also in the Mekong Delta, it's crucial that there be a more efficient way to manage a fruit farm. So the fruit trees on the left, the orchards, you will see the yields are low and the economic lifespan is also low. So 1 year, about 7 to 8 years after planting, the farmers need to cut down the trees and replant again. And then they have to wait 2-3 years before they get fruit. Now imagine we can develop a fruit farming system where trees can have an economic lifespan of 15 years or 20 years. This will be an enormous potential to increase farmer income. Next slide. The threat from climate change, which is also a big factor in the Mekong Delta, already discussed by the previous speakers, but especially in the dry season, there is a big issue with salinity coming into the rivers, and for a lot of fruit trees, salt water is not very good. And you will see, for example, in 2020, 20 to 30% of fruit trees in some areas died because of this saline water. Next slide. So another important factor in the fruit sector, farmers use too much of everything. Farmers use too much fertilizers, too much pesticides in a non-rational way, and even they apply too much water. This is one reason is that a lot of the input companies are purely sales driven. Farmers think they get good advice for free, but in fact, a lot of the advice is just being given to them to push input sales. Next slide. So what needs to be done? Very important, input companies and fruit companies, they need to invest into extension. There needs to be an investment in applied R&D. At the same time, if companies and farmers work in contract farming systems, so farmers are assured that they can sell their fruits, they can focus on their farm and focusing on professionalizing their farm. At the same time, there is also a very important task for the government. It's about market access, especially to neighboring countries. Thailand can export 20 fruits to Vietnam, but Vietnam can only export 2 fruits to Thailand. This is why Thailand has an export value of $800 million of tropical fruits to Vietnam, and Vietnam is exporting about $30 million of fruits back. This is only something which the Vietnamese government can arrange, market access to its neighbors. This cannot be done by companies. Another very important task to be done by the Vietnamese government is to have the enforcement of the Vietnamese pesticide laws. They're very good laws, but they need to be enforced. Next slide. So what did we do? because nobody wanted to invest in the fruit sector, we did it ourselves. We developed the Fruit Republic in Canton, which is certified for every standard that is needed, both social and in production. And over time has developed into one of the few fruit exporters who's exporting to the European market and focusing on developing the domestic market. Next slide. The coming 5 years, we'll not only wait for governments to take action, we're also investing ourselves to strengthen smallholder farming systems, invest in applied R&D, invest in extension, invest in tailor-made fertilizer advice for smallholder fruit farmers. And we're doing that with a group of companies and an NGO, Rabobank Foundation, which will work on access to finance. So this was my presentation, and I want to end with one very positive slide. Next slide. An example of a successful transition. This is a farmer. His name is Yen. He's 68 years old, and he set up a citrus orchard where he put the right spacing. He's doing very active pruning, which a lot of farmers are not doing. He does not use any herbicides, and he saves labor with using a second-hand bought mini mower. And because of all these interventions which he did, he can now achieve 60 ton per hectare, while the average is around 20 ton, and he gets 65% of class 1 fruits. So it is possible to do a transition even when you're 68. And I'll now give the floor to Jos. Next slide.
Thank you, Sibe. Ms. Rose, can you start my presentation?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody in Asia, and good morning in Europe. Based on the challenges that were mentioned just by Sibe, now I present a project that tries to tackle them, at least some of them. The name of this project is Quality Improvement Tropical Fruit, Vietnam, and our consortium, our partnership, has the name Vietnam Fruit Force. Our scope includes 3 value chains of fruit in 4 southern provinces in Vietnam. In Binh Thuan and Long An province, we will work on dragon fruit in the coming 2.5 years. In Bang Chep province, we will work on pomelo, and last but not least, in Dong Thap province, we will work on mango. Next slide, please. The initiative dates from more than 4 years ago, when Peter Prince and the Vietnam Farmers Union started to cooperate, and they identified and solutions in the dragon fruit sector. And at the same time, I was involved in an export promotion program of exotic fruits. We met, we started to put things together, and step by step, we came to the formation of this partnership. Under the umbrella and leadership of MCNV, a Dutch NGO working in Vietnam, teaming up with Peter Prince, myself, and a number of Dutch and Vietnamese stakeholders. You can see that our partnership includes Vietnamese presence on the ground, and Dutch innovative solutions for modern, sustainable technologies and practices in agriculture, especially food production. The Dutch government, through RVO, the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, decided to co-finance the project, which was done last summer. So now we are moving. In the next few slides, a few pictures of the fruits we are working on. Dragon fruit. Next slide, please. And another one, next slide. And mango on the next slide. So the consortium just started, and we are still in our inception phase. COVID-19 doesn't help us, but we are working hard to start actual activities early next year, after TED. What's the plan for the coming 2.5 years? Next slide, please. Our activities are based on a so-called system approach, which is rather new for this sector in Vietnam. We work on optimizing all relevant factors in the pre-harvest and the post-harvest sector. Think of fertigation, irrigation, drainage, crop protection, harvest, handling, transport. And at the end, we all link it to the quality of the fruits. In fact, we have divided our activities in 3 main pillars. Knowledge development and capacity building is the biggest pillar. And we also work on demonstration and studies. So this is the first one. Knowledge development, dissemination, and capacity building at farm level, focusing on soil, water, and crop. Pre-harvest phase. Here we will collect data in the field. We monitor, we analyze, we come to improve practices. And then, of course, we disseminate all these findings and these best practices to the practice in workshops, in trainings, in field visits, etc. Same we do in the post-harvest phase. Next slide, please. Here we work on transportation, sorting, grading, storage, and packing. This is also the connection with trade and exports. Although Europe is by far not the only export destination for these products, which also has been mentioned by Sibe, we still believe that Europe has chances. So at the end of this project, we will bring some potential key exporters of Vietnam to the main trade fair in Europe, Food Logistica in Berlin. And the aim is then to link them with European traders. Next slide. Demonstration is also very close to the previous set of activities. So with trial fields, demonstration plots on various themes like fertigation, irrigation, drainage, integrated pest management. We will have showcases for the farmers in Vietnam. And at the same time, with Food Tech Innovation Days, we will create the opportunity to show innovative products and services of private companies, including Dutch, to these farmers. Next slide. Finally, we pay attention to trade facilitation by studying and mapping the requirements for high-end markets, especially Europe. Think of compliance with good agricultural practices, social standards. And for this activity, we will work with European, especially Dutch importers and retail. And of course, we also will work with the Food Republic. Here again, we will bring this knowledge to all the relevant farmers and exporters in Vietnam, through workshops and seminars. Next slide. Well, this was the short presentation. Thanks for your attention on behalf of the entire partnership. Come on.
So right now, I would like to thank to Mr. Sibe and Mr. Joes. And now I would like to invite all our speakers that present in this webinar to open your camera. And we are going through the question and answer session. Miss Charlotte, I invite you to open the video, please. And Miss Wilhelmine, Mr. Johan as well. So we are going to combine the question and answer into this session. So I got the question from the audience here, which is already answered in the Zoom application. However, to be the benefit for the others Holland company that joining, I would like to ask about the registration of feed additives from Holland to use in Vietnam. What is the best procedure? Which office or organization in Vietnam to contact? So the question is from Admers from Hollander. So I think this one, Mr.
Ms.
Johan.
Rose, if I may, I just sent a private message to Mr. Ad regarding this topic.
All right, sure.
I don't know if Willem would like to add some information, but I think I can connect Ad to some agents to support him and guide him into the right direction with the different government authorities that are involved. It is quite a time-consuming process, registering feed additives. It can take up to 1 to 2 years, but I will support Ad getting in touch with the right people if he would like that.
And Mr. Willem, you want to add anything on the support from the embassy?
Sure, good to be back. Sorry for the internet connection. The whole embassy here had no connection, including me, so it's good to be back. Of course, in general, when it comes to market access, is also a time-consuming and sometimes necessary procedure to get your products on the market. So, in general, I would say do never hesitate to contact the right authorities or the embassy to discuss what the best procedures could be. If there is not yet market access for a specific product, then the best is also to contact your own branch organization in the Netherlands and to discuss with the ministry to see what the procedure could be. But we are always open to discuss with you and to assist you and to advise you in the right direction.
All right, so I'm going to the next question would be, I think Mr. Johan helped to answer private question to Mr. Hans Hovig already, but in terms of sharing from the embassy, Mr. Willem, are the backyard pig farmers being protected and supported by the government during the ASF crisis in Vietnam? You want to share?
Johan, you want to say something about that, about your own experience?
Yeah, I also replied in the Q&A chat box, but basically there has been some support, very limited, which resulted in farmers not willing to inform governments when their pig herds got infected with ASF, which then in turn resulted in further spreading. So it has been in that way kind of sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. And with respect to the detailed question of Mr. Hans, has there been any specific support for backyard farmers in the Mekong Delta? No, there has not been any support, I would say, as a result of which many of the farmers who lost all their animals simply because either they died or they had to sell them before they died, they decided to switch to another type of livestock farming, mainly poultry, chickens for meat or also ducks for meat production. And during 2020, where we experienced very high live pig prices, ex-Farmgate, some of the families who used to be rearing pigs decided to take the risk. It's really like in a casino because ASF is still all over the place. But the high prices made it for some of the farmers worthwhile the risk to take to restart pig farming.
All right, Mr. Willem, you want to add anything on that?
No, I think what Mr. Johan says is right. There are not big schemes in place, and if they are in place, it's very limited. And if we translate that situation, so to see what the potential is for Vietnamese-Netherlands collaboration, I think that an increase in an investment in biosecurity standards, biosecurity measures, biosecurity stables or processes is what Vietnam needed, especially in the medium and large enterprises to safeguard them from the emerging diseases. Backyard farming is a challenge. It's difficult, and it's African swine fever, but there are also other emerging animal diseases. So I think further investment in biosecurity can bring Vietnam forward, and I'm sure there are Dutch companies that could be of interest for Vietnamese companies.
All right, so now question will go to Mr. Sibe and Mr. Jones. It's about, can you share experience from developing the value chain, even from the citrus or mango for exporting to Europe? The audience want to know your experience in developing, like what is challenge you facing, what what they should be a concern? Yeah, who first?
Yeah, mango for the European market is not easy to do, because for mango the post-harvest is very delicate. So if you go by sea freight, you have to be able to keep the mango fresh for 4 weeks. So you see that out of Southeast Asia, especially the country of our host for this event, Thailand, is exporting mostly mango by air. If you look at what happened because of COVID and the air freight prices, you can imagine that it's not going to be very easy to export mango by air. So you have to focus on mango by sea. And I think first Vietnam should focus on markets which are close by. Singapore, Korea, Japan, Australia, it's easier to reach them. Again, we then come to the topic of market access, how to access Japanese markets. Thailand and Philippines are very big exporters of high quality mango to Japan. Vietnam still needs to get market access. If Philippines and Thailand can get it, Vietnam should also get it. This is mostly phytosanitary related. So I really encourage the Vietnamese government to arrange this market access to Japan. And if this market access is arranged, it will be very important to control the post-harvest of mango, which is not easy to do. So maybe develop it first for the domestic market, for neighboring countries, and then look again at the European markets. Thank you.
Yeah, I fully agree with Sibe. Strategically thinking about markets and which markets to deliver is very important. And that's also a matter of expectations management. Another part of the answer when it comes to value chain development has been mentioned a few times. It's very important to work on the ground in Vietnam. No way of coming from the Netherlands with a few experts and telling how it has to be done. It's very important. And I believe all the projects that have been discussed today in livestock, in aquaculture, in fruit, they are based on working on the ground in Vietnam with solid and with reliable partners. So, well, that's a very important tip, I would say.
All right. So right now I come to the last question before I pass the floor to Mr. Vietlam. There will be the there will be the ceremony on the partnership between Holland companies and Vietnam. Then the signing will be on the 4th. So I am like not from Holland and from Vietnam. What I would like to ask is, as the speaker here, how you see the benefit that the Netherlands government organize a partnership and invite you to be a speaker. Do you think this is the benefit to the whole ASEAN or Vietnam, or what is your idea? I start from the lady first, Miss Charlotte.
Sorry, can you repeat the question, because I was answering a question here.
Okay, the question is on 4th of December, there will be the partnership signing between the Netherlands company, that partnership with the Vietnamese company to do the collaboration in such project on the logistics, water, aquaculture in Mekong Delta. So what I want to ask, as you are invited as the speaker in this platform, and you are from Netherlands as well, I would like to ask your opinion and comment and share with the audience here how you see the benefit of the cross-country partnership. And as you are from the research part, what do you think? And you can say any encouragement of possible partnership in the future.
Thank you again for repeating the question. Well, from our side, from the Wageningen University, we support this kind of collaboration, of course. We see that there's much potential. We have from the Netherlands a lot of knowledge and experience on, for instance, livestock farming. that could benefit the Vietnamese market with services, technology, etc. So, and from our side, we are happy to support by our knowledge, for instance, on ASF or avian flu, new types of stables or the animal housing. And yeah, so I'm in, we are in, and good work. Thank you.
All right, so I go past to Mr. Johan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Rose. I also noticed the question of Mr. Gert Stiekema in the Q&A chat box with regard to this. So it's of course great that there is collaboration between Vietnam and the Netherlands. There has been and will be, and it will only become stronger, I think, which is very good for all the different sectors in agriculture, and also including fruit, I would say, Sibe presented, but also for sure in aquaculture and also in livestock. One of the interesting things is we were not really able yet to discuss about that, but Sibe mentioned it in his presentation, the salinity challenge in the Mekong Delta. I think this is something that is impacting all the different sectors that have been discussed about today. So that also could maybe a sort of overarching topic what we can set up some projects on together, maybe even across different sectors. Sibe, Willem, I don't know how you think about it, but I think this whole situation with regard to salinity is impacting for sure also, in addition to fruit, aquaculture and also livestock significantly in a negative way. So it's something that is quite a big topic, and I think it would be great to develop a sort of public-private partnership project around that topic to get things done and improve the situation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johan. I pass to the next two, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, thank you for asking. For myself, this webinar of today and also Friday, the launching of the partnerships, really is focusing on the Mekong Delta, because the Mekong Delta has a special agenda, a special ambition for the future, also together with the Netherlands. So for me, it's clear this is about Mekong Delta. At the same time, of course, there are parallels with other parts of Vietnam. Slightly different agendas, different focuses, of course, and also there are international connections with the whole region, with the whole ASEAN region. Again, for me, this is Mekong Delta focus.
All right, thank you. I saw a lot of audience from other ASEAN countries as well, not only from Mekong area in these 200 people here. So last one, Mr. Sibe.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. I see my very white-colored face is a bit normal again. I'm not using any Unilever whitening screens. I think it has to do with the sunshine in Dalat. I'm in Dalat at the moment, and it's very sunny here. Yes, I think it's very useful that we have these networking events. It's of course a bit sad that we have to do it online. But better than nothing. So I'm very happy that on Friday we can, at least in Vietnam, have something in person. I agree with Rose that ASEAN cooperation is crucial. It's nice if we can export to Europe or import products of Europe into Vietnam, but I think there is much more trade and cooperation possible between the ASEAN countries. They are removing import duties, but they are forgetting to remove trade barriers. So Vietnam is active to get maybe market access to New Zealand or to the USA, which is great, but it would be great that Vietnam can also work with the Philippines, can work with Malaysia, can work with Thailand. This is very important. Also for the hosts, they're for example very active in Myanmar. There are possibilities for Vietnamese corn going to Myanmar and the other way around. So ASEAN removal of phytosanitary barriers is crucial for the region. And the other topic raised by Johan, I cannot agree more. it's those different sectors working together, and it will be great if this business platform will get from the ground. For example, we have citrus waste, which can be a very nice input for all the feed that Johan is making. And I'm sure that all the manure coming out of the chicken farms of the host partners can be very good input for our citrus farmers. So I think if we bring companies together in such a round table where we can look at circular economy, which Charlotte also said, a lot could be done. How can we deal together with the salinity issue, and how can we use each other waste streams to add value? So I think very useful to have the initiative from the Dutch Embassy to organize these kind of events, and then we can put our heads together and improve the agriculture sector a lot. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much to our speakers, and now come to the last part of this session. I want to invite Mr. Willem Scotra, our agriculture counselor to Vietnam and Thailand, to have a closing note to all of you before going to the next session on agriculture and circular economy in Mekong Delta.
Thank you, Madam Rose. Thanks again for your excellent moderating. It's a pleasure to listen to you. Let me also thank all the speakers for their contribution. I think what became clear out of this webinar is that Vietnam has a fantastic ambition into becoming a large regional and global player in agriculture. And they also have a large potential. Especially with the EVFTA, the free trade agreement, which is in place, I think it can give an extra boost. We also discussed a number of challenges, but challenges also have opportunities. And I think in terms of Dutch-Vietnamese collaboration, I think we can contribute a lot to these challenges and turn them really into opportunities. And we saw today already a few excellent examples of that. And I think a few lessons that we learned, I think a few of the speakers mentioned them, are demonstrations and partner up with local companies. I think that is crucial to bring your collaboration to a success. This is not the last webinar with a focus on the Mekong Delta. We have a webinar tomorrow on agro-water, where we will also discuss further about the salinity problem, but also other water-related issues. And after this webinar, also we will focus on the circular and waste in relation to agriculture. So I hope you have the opportunity to stay because we saw a lot of interest with almost 200 participants in this webinar. But let me conclude. It was mentioned already, the initiative that we want to launch with the 4 Dutch top sectors, the top sector water, the top sector logistics, the top sector agro-food, and the top sector horticulture and starting material from the Netherlands, together with the Dutch Embassy here, and the VCCI, the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that want to launch Mekong Delta business platform to further facilitate public-private partnerships and to see how we can support and facilitate mutual trade. So the dreams that Siebe was referring to hopefully can make truth. So if you are interested in this initiative, do not hesitate to contact the top sectors in the Netherlands, the VCCI in Vietnam, or the Dutch Embassy here. An LOI will be signed on Friday, so I'm looking forward to that moment, as well as a lot of other initiatives that are supporting the sustainable value chain development of the Mekong Delta. So I hope to see you soon back in the other webinars. We are there for you as a Dutch Embassy in terms you want to relate to Dutch private sectors or knowledge institutes, or the other way around. And hopefully after COVID, we will see you here in Vietnam physically, because I think we're all waiting for that moment. Thank you so much.